All right, Pro Bowl voting has been announced. We know who has made the Pro Bowl outright. Of course, plenty more will make the Pro Bowl, as I'm sure a lot of people aren't going to want to go to the Pro Bowl games. Kind of a weird thing that's going on, but it's always a fun list, and I figured might as well make a video on it. Give my thoughts on the Pro Bowl roster. So let's just get into it. So this is the AFC offense. We'll go that way. We'll do AFC offense, AFC defense, and then NFC offense and NFC defense. So first things first, the quarterbacks in the AFC. The obvious snub to me is Josh Allen, who I've been campaigning as being an MVP candidate. He doesn't even make the Pro Bowl at this point. Lamar, who hard to argue with Lamar, Mahomes, and Tua make the list. To me, I think Lamar and Josh Allen should be in, and I think the question is for Mahomes or Tua. Personally, I always kind of feel like, well, I would rather have Mahomes than Tua. I kind of feel like the Pro Bowl is more of a, well, what have you actually done? What were the results? I think I might go to Tua just because of how it typically goes. Although you could argue Mahomes. I don't think it's crazy either way between the two of them. I know people don't like Mahomes. People are going to argue against that, but I actually don't have a massive issue with Mahomes making it. It's just he shouldn't have made it over over Allen, in my opinion. The tight ends, I don't have an issue with this. It's kind of weird where Kelsey obviously should still be in. Even a down year for him is a clear, Pro Bowl season. I don't really know where else you would go. Is Evan Ingram a candidate for? No, he's not. I think tight ends feel good to me. And to be honest, the offensive line, I'm not going to sit here and say I've been perfectly zeroed in. If there was something crazy, I'd probably notice it, but this feels reasonable to me. I was happy to see Linderbaum get in. I think he deserved it, so, I wasn't sure if he would be someone who gets the nod, but yeah, that feels right for me. But no real complaints nothing jumps out at me offensive line-wise, albeit I'm not the biggest offensive line guy in the world, but I'm not the smallest either. I pay some attention. Wide receivers, again, I don't really have, just looking at it on paper, I think all four of these are deserving players, right? I mean, again, who else do you maybe consider in the discussion here for the AFC? I'm not exactly sure. I mean, this feels about right to me. Keenan Allen, who, again, I wasn't sure if he would get the nod because people aren't really paying attention to the Chargers, but he deserves it. He really does. Jamar Chase has been great. Amari Cooper, Tyreek Hill. Yeah, again, there's people you could potentially look to. Is Pickens a candidate? Probably. He's probably a candidate, someone you could look towards, but I don't really have a big issue with those four making it. Again, I'm not going to freak out if I would have someone fourth and maybe someone I would have fifth ends up on the list. I'm not going to panic too much over it because, some things are reasonable, minds can differ, and that's kind of how I might view some of this. Next up is the running backs, and again, it's a bit weird. Right off the bat, it kind of jumped out at me, is Derrick Henry really, at this point in his career, a Pro Bowler? But he probably is. I don't know who else I would replace him with. He still had a good season. It's just, again, a washed-up Derrick Henry is still a Pro Bowl caliber player. James Cook, I think, deserves it. And Raheem Mostert, I certainly think deserves it as well. I think he's been very good. Alec Ingold, okay, fine. Sure. So I don't have a ton of issues with the exception of Josh Allen for the Pro Bowl, offense AFC-wise. Let's move over to the offense NFC. I know I said I was going to do the entire AFC, then the entire NFC, but sometimes I like to lie to you. So, quarterbacks, I don't really have any notes here. Of course, as a Tampa Bay fan, I'm going to be rooting for a couple of people. I'm going to be rooting for, Baker, but I can't argue Baker over those three. Those three are the right three, in my opinion. And tight ends, again, who else do you consider in this situation? I think it's these. I think these two are right. I think they got the right two here as well. Moving over to the wide receivers, you could argue Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think I saw some people arguing that. It's tough because I agree, Amon-Ra St. Brown should be a Pro Bowler, right? Like that, it feels like he's had a Pro Bowl caliber season, but then you just think about who do you replace him with in that scenario? And that's where I have a little bit of trouble. I mean, I think, again, my heart wants Mike Evans to be in it. I probably take Mike Evans out and put Amon-Ra St. Brown in. That's proof I'm not biased. I think that the other three are right. I think you put St. Brown in. And again, there's other, Brandon Ayuk not being on this list is so, I feel like he should probably be on the list as well. I honestly think that I would include him here. So I don't know. It's tough, but again, it's really hard to come up with a list that totally works here. So you got to pick certain guys. I think all 4 of those players were deserving of a Pro Bowl. I'll say that. Heading over to the running back room, I'll be honest, there's a head scratcher here. I'm not really sure why Swift has gotten the nod here. I'm not sure why he was the one who was the running back. Not to say I think he's had a bad season or anything like that. Like Kyron Williams, I certainly get, especially in terms of like bulk stats. I still don't know if I would go him in terms of a Pro Bowler, but I think I would. I think I agree with that. I think he's fine. I think Christian McCaffrey's a lock, obviously. Kyron Williams, and the other guy I would go for, I think James Conner should absolutely be a running back. Pro Bowler. I don't know why he's not on the list. Like that makes zero sense to me, putting Swift over Conner. That's just what I just straight up disagree with. So, yeah, again, offensive line, nothing really jumps out at me. Perhaps someone will point something out to me and I'll be like, yeah, that is stupid. But just reading through the list, it doesn't seem crazy to me. Okay, AFC defense now, starting off with, so first off, the rant I cannot not give is we separate defensive ends and outside linebackers, which means that we get 6 defensive ends, essentially. We get 6 edge rushers every year making the list, and only, in this case, 2 outside linebackers. Like, what are we doing here? Like, an outside linebacker is a completely different position. Like, there's an edge rusher, which, again, for some of you who are maybe confused, there's several different defenses you play. Sometimes an outside linebacker is someone who lines up as an edge rusher and rushes the passer. Sometimes they are someone who lines up off the ball and just plays coverage, like a traditional, off-ball linebacker, which is why you usually differentiate it that way in the draft and things like that. Pretty much everyone has gotten a memo, let's just call them edge rushers, except for the Pro Bowl voting, which still separates this. So this is why Levante David has such few Pro Bowls, because he was an outside linebacker for so many years, but had to compete with edge rushers, and so he could never get in. Regardless, back to what we're talking about here, with the defensive ends making the list. Yeah, Myles Garrett and Max Crosby are locks, and I'm not mad at Trey Hendrickson making the list here. I'm not. Again, Josh Allen, Khalil Mack, and TJ Watt are the other players. So, like, who's someone who maybe could be a snub here? I don't know. Is like Andrew Van Ginkel a snub? No, these guys were the right 6, I would say. As for the interior defensive linemen, definitely Madubuike jumps out at me. Justin Madubuike for Baltimore, and I believe he's had a lot of sacks, which is why he's been on the list. But that's still I don't know if I would do that. How about maybe some Christian Barmore love from New England? I wouldn't have hated that. Maybe that's my pick, or even DeForest Buckner is always good. But Chris Jones and Quinton Williams, I'm not mad at. Honestly, Chris Jones, that kind of feels, I don't know. He's good enough. He deserves it. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that either. Chris Jones, Quinton Williams, they deserve it. I would have thrown in Barmore there instead of Madubuike personally. As for inside middle linebackers, this is not off-ball linebackers. This is inside middle linebackers. They went with both Baltimore guys, and I don't hate it. I don't know who else you'd really throw into the list ahead of them. Like, yeah, sure, both Baltimore guys. I think I agree. Going on to the cornerbacks, I'm glad Sauce Gardner got in, because there was a lot of talk early on about him having like a bad season. I think he had a bad game or two to start the year, but like, no, he deserves to get in. I'm pretty surprised Ramsey got in just because he missed so much time. I don't know if that's totally where I would have gone, but again, I don't hate it. He is the best cornerback in football. I think it's more of a playing time thing for me, so I can understand it. I don't know. Don't hate me, Browns fans, but the Denzel Ward thing, he's been very good. He's a good corner. This is a bit of the defense has also been very good, right? It's kind of a credit. When your defense is good, everybody gets the credit. I don't know. I guess, can Rasul Douglas make the list, or is it because he started in the NFC and goes to the AFC, is he not eligible? Because I feel like he's deserving, but he played in 2 different conferences, so maybe you can't get it there. I don't know. 4 players, I would say deserving, even if it's not the exact 4 I would go with. They were all good. Safeties, Minkah Fitzpatrick and Justin Simmons are the 2 guys. Well, actually, I guess there's 3 guys. Kyle Hamilton also makes the list. They separated strong and free. Yeah, I don't hate it. Maybe I would have liked to see a place for Javon Holland to make the list. Maybe even, I don't know. Can Geno Stone make the list? Another Baltimore player? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe I would have put Holland in there somewhere. But again, These are guys I would choose, but I don't think there's a lot of people that jump out to me as like someone who definitely doesn't deserve it. So I think it's fine. Going over to the NFC now, starting off with the edge rusher slash defensive end slash outside linebackers. I'm going to just use them both, and they're not even next to each other. I mean, what are we doing here, Pro Bowl? Nick Bosa, of course. Aiden Hutchinson, completely agree, which, again, I'm glad to see because I don't think he has the sack numbers that usually you need to get into Pro Bowl, but he deserves it for sure. And Montez Sweat definitely has the sack numbers. Is he a top 6 edge rusher in the NFC? I don't know, but he's really good. He no real critiques there. Danielle Hunter, sure. I think his sack numbers are a little inflated, but he still had a Pro Bowl caliber season. Micah Parsons, of course, and then Hassan Reddick. I don't really hate this either. Like I'm looking through the list, seeing who else you could maybe argue. I don't know. Like does Rashawn Gary get some consideration? He doesn't really get the snap count. Like him and DeMarcus Lawrence both, they have really good like advanced analytics, but they don't get the snap count. So no, I'm with this. I don't have any major critiques here. Going on to the interior defensive linemen. Yeah, sure. Right off the bat, Aaron Donald, Dexter Lawrence. Of course, Aaron Donald and Dexter Lawrence. Not sure about Javon Hargrave. That's not to say he's had a bad season or anything, but like, has he been better than Derek Brown? Has he been better than Jalen Carter? Has he been better than Vita Vea? I don't think so. I think he's been really good. I think he's been a great interior defensive lineman. Just surprised that he's got the Pro Bowl nod over a couple other players personally. As for the linebackers, Bobby Wagner and Fred Warner, hard to argue with those guys, and it's just frustrating that like there's only 2 spots because like Demario Davis is a Pro Bowler. I'm sorry, he's a Pro Bowler. I'm a Tampa Bay fan. I hate the Saints. Demario Davis is a Pro Bowler. Like there's no reason he should not be in the Pro Bowl. Like, and I'm not saying that he should take Wagner or Warner's spots necessarily. Maybe Wagner's spot, but Wagner's been great. Like those are 2 Pro Bowl caliber players. And there's several other Pro Bowl caliber players that can't get in because of the stupid system. So, that's frustrating. But moving on to the corners. I agree. Deron Bland should be on the list, not just from the pick sixes. He's played good coverage this season. Jalen Johnson, absolutely. I think he should be an All-Pro. He's been that good this season. A huge part of them, turning things around. Charvarius Ward, he's been a real good player for the 49ers. Every time I watch 49ers tape, I'm like, man, he's doing great stuff out there. And Devin Witherspoon, nailed it. Hey, no notes. There's been other good corners. AJ Terrell is a good corner. Stephon Gilmore is a good corner. There's other good corners. You know who deserves it? These 4. Well done. Pro Bowl voting here. And then the safety position, I have a complaint. I do. And maybe I always try to not be the person who looks at this and then just says, oh, my favorite player didn't get nominated. Clearly, this is a joke. Antoine Winfield should have been nominated, I think. He should have not nominated. He should have been on the list. Jesse Bates, absolutely, he deserves it. He should probably be an All-Pro this season. Winfield, I think you can make an argument for as well. And instead, Budda Baker and Julian Love make the list over him, which I don't know. I don't really get how you can do this. Not to say that, again, they've both been very good. They both had Pro Bowl caliber seasons. They had not been as good as Antoine Winfield this season. They haven't. I'll use a Pro Football Focus grade for an example. Budda Baker's grade is 64.9. I get not everyone loves PFF, and he plays for Arizona. It's going to go worse because of that. But Winfield's is not over 90. I mean, we're talking a huge jump there. If that's something you value at all, a 25-point jump should be significant. If it's not something you value, I've watched a lot of tape on both these guys. I think he should be on the list. So I'll argue for my guy there. But again, if you're a Cardinals fan, I'm a biased Tampa Bay fan. So, that's why I have that. I would go Bates, Love, and Winfield. But, Baker and Love are close in my opinion. Baker's a good player. I'm not saying he's not. Again, there isn't a single one of these where I'm like, how did that happen? Actually, a pretty good list, I think. Well done, NFL. Even if it's not everyone I would have picked. I don't have a ton of notes. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.